Good morning. I want to follow on just for a moment from where I finished off yesterday. I was talking about Jacob making this promise to God and saying, whatever you give me, I will give back to you the tenth. Now, if we jump to the last book in our Bible, and the last book in the Christian Bible is, of course, Malachi. If you look at the Jewish Bible, the last book's the Chronicles, but that's a different story. We'll get back to that again later. But the last book in our Christian Old Testament is the Book of Malachi. And in the Book of Malachi, we see God saying to his people, bring the tenth, bring it into my temple and offer it to me. Now, the importance of this is that we are honoring God and proclaiming our relationship with God. See, God doesn't need the tenth. He doesn't need it. He can provide from whatever source we have. He can provide for all the needs. He doesn't need the sacrifice. But as we offer him the tenth, we are showing our relationship with him. And in the book of Malachi, he says, bring the tithe into the temple. Let the people honor me in this right way. And as they honor me in this way, I will pour out blessings upon them. Now, you may wonder sometimes why it is that the Jewish race can sometimes be so prosperous. And I want to tell you very simply that the answer is because they honor God with the tenth. They honor God and God blesses them in the way that he promised to bless them. As they offer him back the tenth, God pours out blessings into their lives. And I've seen this in my own life and in my Christian life and in my church life. That as God, we proclaim to God and honor God by giving him the tenth. So God pours out blessings back into our lives. See, I've seen churches and administrators speaking to the people and they say, you should give this amount a week or that amount a week, or you should contribute in this way or contribute in that way. And some come out with some very strange ideas, as to how little they should give back to God. And I say the only place where the promise will hold is the tenth. And I just want to advocate to you and tell you again, if you can settle down in your own life and look at all that God has given you. People come to me with advice on this sometimes. And I say, well, you have income that's given to you because you're living in the state. And the state will take a tax and national insurance off you. So let that go. And then you may have other great problems in your life, perhaps paying a mortgage or something. And I say, well, let that go as well. But the money that is left is money that is going to be spent on you and your family in the situation in which you live. Look at that amount and almost challenge God and say to God, from all that you've given me, I will give you back the tenth, and do it. And what you will find is what I've found and what churches have found, that as you start to do this, God will start pouring back into your life a blessing. One of the main purposes of your giving is to open up this particular channel of grace. And this is what Jacob realized all those years ago as he woke up after his dream in Bethel. He said, I'm going out. I don't know what's going to happen to me. But of all that I am given, I will give back to God the tenth. I will tithe it back to God. And as we look at Jacob's life, we find, yes, it was very prosperous. He went down to his family in Haran. He met with his family. And he stayed with his family. Now Laban, his cousin, who was there, said, well, if you're going to stay with us, you may as well work. This is quite an honest and proper thing to actually do. Remember, even Moses in later times, when he flees from Egypt and goes and meets up and marries his wife Zipporah, in the end, we find he's acting as a shepherd for his father-in-law. And now Laban is saying as well to Jacob, he says, you're staying here, you should work for me, become a shepherd. And Jacob becomes a shepherd. And then Jacob suddenly realizes, well, it's about time he got married. So he goes to Laban and he asks for one of Laban's daughters in marriage. And Laban says to him, well, why should I give her to you in marriage? And Jacob says, well, I will work for you for 7 years for Rachel, your daughter. Give me a Rachel daughter and I'll work for 7 years. I'll be your shepherd. And Laban thinks, well, this is quite a good deal. So he agrees to it. And Laban works these 7 years, and gradually the relationship goes on, and finally they come back to the place where they're going to get married. We think of this happening, and we're amazed at the story. Because when Jacob comes to get married, this person was always used as a usurper. His cousin Laban is just as clever as him. And when he comes to get married, he suddenly finds that the person he's married to is not Rachel, but Leah. Laban has given the older daughter to him instead of the younger. We'll get back to this again tomorrow.